What's up, Ryan?
What's up, Noah?
I'm excited for today's conversation.
I am too. I saw this LinkedIn post that you made asking, is HubSpot a CDP? Which I found really interesting, and I don't know a lot about CDPs, but I am seeing the value of centralizing your data within HubSpot. Can you explain to me what a CDP is?
I think that's a great place to start. And actually, this post that you mentioned definitely got a lot of responses. There was a lot of opinions on whether or not HubSpot is a CDP, and I'll get to that in a minute here. But really, a CDP, what it does, it's your customer data platform. So it centralizes the customer data from multiple different sources, unifies it into a single customer view, and makes it accessible for really like marketing, sales, and customer service teams. There's obviously a lot of features around a CDP, but in a nutshell, that's a CDP, really a system that centralizes customer data.
So, right off the bat, that already sounds like HubSpot to me. So, where's the differentiation between a CRM and a CDP?
Well, this is a really interesting topic and conversation that I've actually had with my business partner and co-CEO, Rob Gwen, over the years. And he always used to say, this was years back, he's like, Noah, honestly, HubSpot underlying data model is, and how it works is really like a CDP, but he's like CDP-like. So I don't want to refer to HubSpot as a full-fledged CDP. It's essentially, a CDP Lite is essentially a powerful CRM sitting on top of a customer data platform. And the reasons why I bring that up is because you are right. You can have a unified customer view. It will centralize your customer data across marketing, sales, and service, giving you a single source of truth. You can integrate it from multiple different places. There's a lot of native data integrations that's very commonplace in your CDPs. So you can seamlessly integrate data from forms, emails, campaigns, website activity, and more, where you don't necessarily need complex connectors to do so. You also have this concept of real-time data activation, so workflows and automations to ensure the customer data isn't just stored but actively used to drive personalized experiences. You're able to consolidate that data into one central view. It's scalable, so it's able to handle both structured and, quote, some unstructured data, which I'll get to in a minute here, making it adaptable as businesses grow. And unlike traditional CDPs, HubSpot empowers really go-to-market teams without a lot of heavy technical expertise. So whereas it may not market itself as a true traditional CDP, it has a lot of CDP-like features that people are able to use. If you're looking for a dedicated CDP, yeah, sure, like tools like Segment may be a good fit. Or if you're looking to leverage your data warehouse, you can use a tool like a reverse ETL, which can kind of act like a CDP, pulling that data into HubSpot prior to doing all of the data unification directly inside HubSpot. So kind of taking a step back, centralizing customer data is what a CDP is, and it's such a broad topic. Like there's a lot of different software can fit into a definition of a CDP.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up data warehouses because that was going to be my next question. How does a CDP differ from a data warehouse? Because it seems like all of this is tightly connected together for companies that really value having a holistic view of their data.
Yeah, and the thing about a data warehouse, generally organizations create a data warehouse because the idea here is they want to store structured data for analytics and reporting. Let's say you want to understand what your customers are doing in your software, and you understand the customer touch points in the software, you want to understand what they're doing out, you want to understand how they paid their bills, and there's all these different systems that you're collecting all this data about your customers and you're pulling it into a warehouse. The idea in a warehouse is you're able to then go ahead and report on that data, provide some sort of visualization layer that sits on top of it. But it isn't really meant for like real-time activation. It isn't meant to like trigger emails to be sent out once they took this action. You need another piece of software to do that. It isn't really designed to unify like a profile unification like a traditional CDP platform could. So think of your data warehouse kind of like the storage of that data. It doesn't necessarily mean it's all being perfectly unified inside that data warehouse. You generally need another tool to be able to do that, to start using it. CDPs versus CRMs versus data warehouses, like a lot of times people have a data warehouse and a CDP. Like they'll actually pull data into it. And that's why I tend to think of reverse ETLs as like, also kind of similar to what CDP does in some respect. And then that's also why it's starting to blend into what HubSpot is. And again, it's going to be pretty exciting what HubSpot is going to be doing upcoming here soon. if you also think of it like this, and I'm going to jump a question here, Ryan, more about, CRMs. It's like, well, how's CDP compared to a data warehouse? But how's a CDP compared to a CRM? CRMs really store customer interactions mainly for your sales, marketing, service teams to be able to use. Whereas CDPs, the idea is it provides a broader real-time view of customer behavior across multiple channels for marketing and personalization. That's why it's blending, HubSpot and CDPs and CRMs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And we've already seen plenty of examples of companies that we work with pulling in more than just marketing, sales, and service data and teams, working within HubSpot. So totally makes sense that HubSpot could kind of verge into that CDP territory. When you're thinking about the value of a CDP or specifically as of HubSpot as a CDP, are there specific industries or verticals that you think will really benefit most from that combination?
Well, maybe we take a step back and we think like why businesses use CDPs in the first place. First and foremost, they want to improve the customer experience by delivering personalized marketing or personalized communication or personalized updates to sales reps or customer service teams. And they're able to do that, and via that better personalized experience, you're able to increase customer retention. And you're able to do a better job with your targeting, and you're able to ensure data consistency across departments. And also, it's becoming more and more prevalent these days, but you got to comply with data privacy regulations across the board. So who does that sound like? Now, the most common adopters of tools like CDPs tend to be your software companies because they have a lot of data on their customers, a lot of clicks, a lot of actions that their customers are taking. And so they were probably the first to really start adopting for that real-time communication, be able to send out those messages at the right place, right time. And so that was probably the first industries that started to adopt it. But you have all sorts of industries out there who want to know who their customers are. And you actually have a lot of this drive right now to create these custom solutions per industries, whether it's like associations trying to manage their members, whether it's a manufacturing company trying to manage all the products their customers are purchasing, invoices, stuff coming in, where they're looking on terms of information, what requests are coming in. I mean, it just like runs across the gamut. So what you're finding out, if you market to a customer and you need to get unified data to your sales or service team, you probably want to start thinking either about CDPs, reverse ETLs, or CRMs that act like CDPs to give you that full holistic view. So there's definitely a lot of industries I would say fall into the category of businesses that would need to use a CDP, which is probably why they're so prevalent nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, we have definitely seen more of them popping up with our customers. You mentioned SaaS is like the number one industry. And I would imagine that one of the reasons that they benefit the most from that is because of, especially a larger SaaS company that has multiple products, customers having multiple accounts with different products, that can get really complicated really quickly. And then the kind of an equivalent is like a franchise model or a private equity firm that maybe wants to get data from franchisees or portfolio companies and consolidate it into one platform. So would a CDP or HubSpot as a CDP work well for something like that?
You could, but you're kind of, I would almost say, if you're just simply trying to get a view of the information, you're not really trying to act on the information, you may be more like thinking of a warehouse in that respect. When you think of a CDP, it's because you need a place that you can actually act on that particular information that you have coming in. And where HubSpot has done well, and traditional CDPs have done well, is they're very good at unifying structured data across various sources. So CRM, website interactions, purchase history, etc. For HubSpot to take the next leap and to become really valuable for clients in particular is they need to be able to also ingest unstructured data and process unstructured data. And this is probably one of the cool things that are coming out. And some of you may have heard of the Frame AI acquisition. And Frame AI really helps HubSpot substantially, potentially. This is just conjecture, hasn't all come out yet. but it may be really highly relevant to becoming more like a CDP because it enhances HubSpot's ability to process and utilize unstructured conversational data, which is a crucial component of what is known as a modern day CDP. So that unstructured data can mean like emails, calls, meetings, chats, can ingest and interpret all that data. So it takes all of that data from like your website, your CRM, your interactions, your purchase history, your journeys, and combines that with all this unstructured data to give you, well, what you really want. Again, this is about to be pretty exciting. HubSpot definitely talks quite a bit about AI, and again, this plays a part into AI and part of their AI game plan. But this is also part of HubSpot's mission and goal of really growing here and becoming more valuable to customers. And we're going to start seeing this play a bigger play. And partly because with an acquisition like Frame AI, it should improve its identity resolution and customer insights. And so the true goal of a CDP is to create a 360-degree customer profile by linking all these various interactions. And with the acquisition of Frame AI, it should be able to help enrich these profiles with behavioral insights, sentiment analysis, which is going to be really cool, intent signals from real-time customer conversations. So that conversation's happening with that customer, and Frame AI is boom, pulling it all out, combining it with all the other data you have, and it's giving you a holistic view of this customer. And like a CDP, it's giving you real-time data, so you can activate upon that real-time data. And so really, up until now, I think most CDPs have been very historical data focused versus real time. And this is going to give you that real time capability.
That is going to be really cool, especially in the context of AI. I feel like HubSpot is already moving in that direction, although, like you said, more with historical data with their Breeze Copilot. I know that like I have used Breeze Copilot to go into a deal record, and because we have a call recorder that pops a transcript into our deal record as a note, I'm able to use Breeze Copilot to chat with the deal data essentially, and I can say, you know, based on all of the calls and emails that have happened relating to this deal, give me the top 5 pain points that this customer is experiencing. So being able to act on that, not just historically, but maybe live during a customer call, would be incredibly valuable to a sales team.
Yeah, because right now that just lives on that note. And that when you go through, it doesn't necessarily parse all that information out to act like in a campaign. Ryan, can go read that note.
Yes.
You can summarize that information, but you can't act on it because you have no way of right now pulling that data into some sort of field or property or wherever else you want to be, and then create a list and segment based upon everyone who's in a conversation who said X, plus has been doing Y, plus who's been shopping at Z. Well, with something like Frame AI, that's technically where we're headed to, where it's going to give you a much better picture of that customer. And so what's going to end up happening is like, you know, up until now, CDPs have really fed data into marketing automation systems for really segmenting and targeting. With potentially this Frame AI, it will be able to recommend and improve these workflows by analyzing those conversations that you're analyzing right now and dynamically adjusting who goes into what campaigns based upon what's been said. So automatically updating your outreach strategies and customer success efforts. I mean, all of this is leading just to a higher degree of personalization, which is going to feel more personal.
The other thing I'm hearing here, which makes me very excited as a marketer, is, if I'm hearing you correctly, it should result in salespeople having to do less manual work to enter data from their calls into the CRM. And I love salespeople. I work very closely with them. Our sales team is great. They do a great job of putting stuff in the CRM. Don't come for me, please. But in general, I would say salespeople don't like putting data into the CRM if they don't have to. And the result of that over time, over years and years of compounding behaviors and lack of a process around it, that can cause an enormous mess. And from a marketer who is trying to use that data to segment, it becomes very difficult. I'm sure that you have gone into a CRM and found contact records that have an email address in the first name field or something like that. And when you're doing personalization, that's a complete nightmare. So the vision of this that I think you're describing is that a salesperson gets off of a sales call and the CDP intelligently pulls that data out of the call transcript or from the conversation and says, okay, this information goes in this field. It has that context.
It's taking this unstructured data of a conversation and essentially enabling you to act on it in a structured way. Take, for example, let's say as a sales leader, you want to look through your deals and you're requiring all your salespeople to put in next steps. It's a field that needs to constantly be updated. What are the next steps? What are the next steps? What are next steps? I'm only saying this hint, wink, wink, we do this. And it requires the salesperson to say, hey, I got a conversation coming up on this date and we're waiting for a decision by XYZ. Great. I don't need to go through all the notes. I don't need to see every conversation. I don't even need to ask AI because that's all I needed. I just need to know where it was. It's not always done. Or forgot to get updated or something else. So then it requires me to crawl through the deal and start figuring out, well, what are the next steps? And so this is unstructured data that will come from a phone call. And granted, there's so many of these call recording apps who will bring that data in and put it as a note in your system. Now, some of them are taking it one step further and they're populating fields for you. So this somewhat already exists. Now, what HubSpot is really doing with this tool is kind of pulling it all together into one. Where not only is it extracting the information you need, but putting it into the proper fields for you in an unstructured way, or essentially taking this unstructured data. Now, I think it's going to go way further than that. I'm probably simplifying how it's going to actually end up being utilized. But it's not just for marketing, it's for leaders who need to know what's going on and need to get certain information at a certain time. And because what's going to enable companies to do is really analyze your customer data. But with enhanced conversational intelligence that we just talked about, you're going to be able to understand insights about customer sentiment, friction, unmet needs. So as a marketer, you're like, hey, I'm adding them to this campaign about why they need to use workflows because we're like, we don't use workflows. It's like, well, great timing. I'm adding you a campaign about how you should use workflows in HubSpot. That's going to provide air cover for the sales team. Or maybe a client says, hey, listen, not now, but later, follow up in like 3 months. Well, great. You can automatically set up a campaign or at least a segment or a list and say, this is a client who wants follow-up in this amount of time and automatically pull that information out. So I think what you're going to see, especially with this Frame AI acquisition, is HubSpot's push towards an AI-driven smart CRM / CDP. And this is where it's like all kind of coming together because HubSpot is beginning to unify all the data from all these different sources and you're able to put it in one place. And so it's going to really make the CRM more proactive than just being a reactive, like looking through your rearview mirror versus through your front windshield.
That sounds incredible. I'm really looking forward to this vision that you've just painted becoming a reality. I'm excited to hear what else HubSpot has up its sleeve. We've heard some rumors of some more CDP-like functionality, but yeah, I'm sure we'll learn more soon.
This is going to give them the ability to compete with a lot of different other enterprise applications on the market that refer to themselves as a CDP. Like, for example, Salesforce Data Cloud or Adobe's tools or Braze tools or Klaviyo's tools that all have it. Like, HubSpot is kind of cooking something up here that they don't just want to stay on par with the rest of the market. They want to leap it. And I think we're going to see that coming out here sometime this year.
Yeah, the story of HubSpot has been they're going to match the functionality, but make it much easier to use. So I would not be surprised if that happens with a CDP product as well.
I love the way you just said that, and I hope you don't mind. I plan to steal that when I talk to some clients.
Well, Noah, this has been great. Thank you for explaining CDP functionality to me, for explaining how HubSpot could become one. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Me too. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, later.